Hi, welcome back to Storybook Crochet. In today's video, this is going to be part 1 of the Veggie Buddy Tomato doll. We are going to just be making the tomato part in this video. So you are going to need your red worsted yarn. You're going to need an F hook, 15mm safety eyes, your yarn needle, a stitch counter, your scissors, and you're going to need some fiberfill. So let's go ahead and grab all our supplies and we'll get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to start with is the main body, and we're going to use our red yarn for this. You're going to need your hook and a stitch marker. So to start off, we're going to start with a magic ring. And in this magic ring, we're going to make 6 single crochets. Alright, once you have your 6 made, go ahead and pull that tail closed. So we have started our circle. So for round 2, we're just going to increase around. So this means we're going to put 2 single crochets in each of those 6 stitches we just made. So 1 and 2 in the first stitch, and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch. You're going to work that all the way around until you have a total of 12 single crochets for round 2. Alright, so there's round 2. At this point is when I start using my stitch marker, and I put mine at the end of each round. Okay, so for round 3, we are going to single crochet in the first stitch, increase in the next stitch, and then we'll repeat that pattern all the way around. So in that first stitch, you'll just make 1 single crochet. In the second stitch, you'll make an increase. So put 2 single crochets in that next stitch. Okay, and then we'll just repeat that. So 1 single crochet, increase, 1 single crochet, increase. So keep doing that pattern until you get to the end of this round, and at the end of this round you will have a total of 18 single crochets. Alright, so that finishes off round 3. So for round 4, we are going to make one single crochet in this very first stitch. Okay, and then the next stitch we're going to go ahead and make an increase. Okay, after that we're going to start our pattern of making 2 single crochets, 1 in each of the next stitches, so 1 and 2, and then increase in that third stitch. Okay, so 2 single crochets, increase in the third. 1 and 2, and then increase. Okay, so after you do this last increase, you will still have one stitch left. So in that last stitch, you just put one single crochet. So what we did there is we broke up our two so that our increases aren't in the same spot in every round, because that makes more of a hexagon type shape, and we don't want that. So so this is the end of round 4, and you should have a total of 24 single crochets made. So for round 5, we are going to do 3 single crochets and then an increase in the 4th. So 1, 2, 3, and then increase in that 4th stitch. So again, 1, 2, 3, increase in the 4th stitch. So go ahead and repeat that around, and then you should have a total of 30 single crochets. Alright, so that was round 5, and again, that was 30 single crochets. So for round 6, we're going to start off with 2 single crochets. So 1 and 2. We're going to go ahead and increase in that next stitch. Okay, so now we're going to start our normal pattern for this round, which will be 4 single crochets and then increase in the 5th stitch. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then an increase in that 5th stitch. So I'm going to let you finish off this round. At the end, after your last increase, you will just make 2 single crochets over the last 2 stitches to complete round 6, and you will have a total of 36 single crochets. I will meet you back here at the end of this round, so just go ahead and pause the video, and then we will start together again on round 7. Alright, so for round 7, we are going to do 5 single crochets and then increase in the 6th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then increase in that 6th. So by now you should basically have this pattern down of what we're doing here for increases. So go ahead and repeat that pattern around. So 5 single crochets, increase in the 6th. Keep that going all the way around. At the end of round 7, you'll have a total of 42 single crochets. So again, go ahead and pause the video and we will meet back at the beginning of round 8. Alright, moving on to round 8. We are going to start with 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, in the next stitch, we're going to make an increase. Okay, so now we're going to start our pattern of 6 single crochets and then increase in the 7th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then increase in that 7th. Alright, so for round 8, go ahead and repeat the 6 single crochets and then increase in the 7th all the way around. Once you make your last increase, you'll have 3 stitches left. So make your 3 last single crochets in those. Alright, and so I will meet you at the end of round 8, where you will have a total of 48 single crochets. Okay, so for round 9, and we have 2 increase rounds left, just so you know. For round 9, we're going to do 7 single crochets and increase in that 8th stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then increase in that 8th stitch. So continue that pattern around of 7 single crochets and then increase in the 8th. At the end of round 9, you will have a total of 54 single crochets. Alright, so round 10 is going to be our last increase round. So we are going to start it off with 4 single crochets. Alright, once you've made those 4 single crochets, you're going to increase in that next stitch. And now we will start our basic pattern around, which is going to be 8 single crochets and then increase in the 9th stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then increase. So as before, you're going to make your 8 single crochets and then increase. Repeat that pattern around. Once you get your last increase round made, you will have 4 stitches left. So make your last 4 single crochets in those last 4 stitches. After round 10 is complete, you will have a total of 60 single crochets. So I will meet you back at the beginning of round 11. Okay, so that was our last increase round. So at this point, we are going to go ahead and just do 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So each of these rounds that we're getting ready to do will be 60 stitches each. So you will do this for rounds 11 through 23. That is a total of 13 rounds. So just 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and this will build up the height for our doll, for the body of our doll. So again, 1 stitch or 1 single crochet in each stitch around for rounds 11 through 23. That's a total of 13 rounds. So go ahead and do your 13 rounds, and then we will meet back and put our safety eyes into our doll before we start decreasing. Okay, at this point we should have rounds 11 through 23 finished, and this is what your tomato should look like. So we're going to grab our safety eyes and go ahead and insert those before we finish off this part of the pattern. So we're going to put our safety eyes between rows 18 and 19. So count down 18. Okay, and the row between, the spaces between rows 18 and 19, go ahead and insert your first eye. And then we're going to leave about 5 full stitches between each eye. So you'll be able to count about 5 stitches. There's 5 there, okay? So go ahead and insert your eyes, put your backs on, and then we'll continue on to row around 24. Alright, that's what that should look like. Okay, for round 24, we are going to start off with 4 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to decrease over the next 2. So you're going to insert your hook, pull your yarn up, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull your yarn up. So you'll now have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull that through all 3 of those loops. So we've just made those 2 stitches into 1 stitch. Okay? At this point, we're going to start our pattern of 8 single crochets and a decrease. So make your 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then I'll show you that decrease one more time. So insert your hook, pull a loop up, insert into the next stitch, pull a loop up. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull that through all 3 of those loops. All right, so you're going to repeat 8 single crochets decrease all the way around. After you do your last decrease, you will have 4 stitches left, so just single crochet in those last 4. And I will meet you back at the end of round 24, where you will have a total of 54 stitches. All right, moving on to round 25, we are going to start off with 7 single crochets. All right, once you have those 7 made, you're going to make another decrease. And that's all we're doing for this round. So go ahead and do your 7 single crochets and then decrease pattern all the way around. At the end of round 25, you will have 48 single crochets made, and I will meet you back there and we'll start round 26. All right, so for round 26, we're going to start off with 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. Make your decrease over the next 2. And then we're going to just do 6 single crochets. And then decrease after the 6. And that will be your pattern around on this one. So 6 single crochets and then decrease. Do that all the way around. After your last decrease, you'll have 3 single crochets or stitches left. Put your last 3 single crochets in those stitches. So after round 26, you will have a total of 42 single crochets. Okay, moving on to round 27, we are going to do 5 single crochets. All right, once you have those 5 single crochets, just decrease in the next. So I'm sure at this point you guys have the pattern down of how we're doing our decreases. So just continue the pattern of 5 single crochets and then decrease all the way around. For round 27, you will have a total of 36 single crochets. I will meet you back at the beginning of round 28. All right, to start round 28, we're going to start with 2 single crochets. And then you're going to decrease over the next 2. So the pattern for this one will be 4 single crochets. Once you have those 4 made, make your decrease. All right, so continue that pattern of 4 single crochets and decrease around until you make your last decrease. Over the last 2 stitches, you'll just make 2 single crochets. So we'll meet back at the end of this round. You will have a total of 30 stitches left, and then we are going to go ahead and stuff with our fiberfill. So you'll want to grab that next. All right, so at this point, we're going to go ahead and just stuff what we have so far. So go ahead and grab your fiberfill and start filling it in. You're going to want it pretty firm, so make sure you add enough and just kind of work it in there all the way around until you have it how you want it and stuffed firmly. So I will let you go ahead and do that, and we'll meet back once you have yours completely stuffed, and we'll finish off the rest of our decrease rounds, which we have 4 rounds left to go. All right, now that we have our tomato stuffed, we are going to go ahead and move on to round 29. And for round 29, we're just going to do 3 single crochets and then decrease. Now that we have it stuffed, you're going to have to kind of use your finger to kind of keep the fluff down so you're not crocheting it into your stitches. Okay, so just repeat 3 single crochets and then decrease around. After round 29, you will have a total of 24 single crochets. Alright, so we're moving on to round 30. So we're just going to make one single crochet in that next stitch and then go ahead and make your first decrease. And then after that, we're just going to repeat the pattern of 2 single crochets and then decrease. So 2 single crochets and decrease. So I'm not going to stop the video at this point just because these rounds don't take very long to do. At the end of round 30, you'll have a total of 18 single crochets made. Alright, so that last stitch that's left, just go ahead and put your last single crochet in that. And as we're getting ready to close, if you need to add some more fiberfill, go ahead and do that before we get to the very last round. Okay, so now we are just going to do for round 31, we're going to do 1 single crochet and then decrease. 1 single crochet and then decrease. So at the end of this round, you will have a total of 12 single crochets made, and then we'll do our last decrease round to finish it off. So I'm going to add a little bit more stuffing here. Got a bit of a hole there just to fill in the top a little bit better. So for this pattern, this will be the top of your tomato, and we will cover this with leaves. So if your top doesn't, or your closing doesn't look perfect, that's fine because it's going to be covered up. Alright, so that finishes off round 31. So round 32 is just going to be 6 decreases. So we're just going to decrease over the first 2 and then decrease again. And you're going to do that 6 times around. Okay, so once you have your 6 made, go ahead in that next stitch and make a slip stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull that through, and then pull it through your loop. And you're gonna want to cut a fairly long tail. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull our tail through that loop to close that off. Grab your yarn needle. First thing we're going to do is close this opening. So I just go through one stitch and out the other. Pull that, go up one stitch and out the next. Until you get all the way around, and then that closes that. I've got fiberfill sticking through there, but like I said, we're going to cover that up anyway. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to weave that through one more time. We're going to make the indent so it kind of is like this. So what we're going to do, and I grabbed a bigger yarn needle if you have that option. If not, you can still do it just fine. You're going to go through the top hole and you're going to push it through all the way to the bottom. So you may have to kind of squish it together to get it to do what you want to do. And then pull it through that bottom hole. And then what you're going to do is pull tight so that that indents the top of the tomato. Okay, so at this point, go ahead and go through like the next stitch, weave that in while you're holding it tight so that the indent stays. And then we're going to weave that in a couple of times. Okay, so that should be what that looks like. So you can go ahead and cut that yarn, clean up any fiberfill that's sticking out. It really shows up on the red yarn. All right, and then we are going to move on to our next step, which will be the top little leaves that go on the top of the tomato. So let's grab our green yarn and we'll get started.